Alright, so welcome to the second day, giving you a brief of what we did yesterday. We ended up on the concept of objects. Okay, I told you objects are created. I told you that there are various driver classes. Alright, so over here, just a minute. Alright, so I'll create a new project over here, day 2. Okay, and I told you that we have various drivers like Firefox driver, Chrome driver, HTML unit web unit driver, remote web driver, Safari driver. Okay, now we create objects of these driver classes to work on the respective browsers. Okay, now there are few things which come into the mind. The first thing is that, do I need to study each and every driver class separately? Okay, should I remember all the functions of Firefox driver? Should I remember all the functions of Chrome driver? Should I remember all the functions of iDriver separately? Okay, answer is no, you don't need to do that. Okay, the answer comes from the concept of interfaces in Java language. In object-oriented programming, there is a concept of interface. All right. So that concept I'll try to take up in today's class, the concept of interface. All right, which will help you understand that you don't need to remember each and every driver separately. Okay, let me tell you something. I'll expand day 2. All right, and I will create a new class. Right, and I'll call this new class as say a very simple example like, or hold on, I'll create not a class, I'm sorry, a new interface. Okay, a new interface, right? Hold on, a new interface known as, again, car. Okay, right. Now, what an interface is? What is an interface? Interface is something which is not complete. Okay, for example, I'm giving you a very good example. Like you visit a website. You visit a website xyz.com. Okay, the welcome page of the website is like an interface for you. It tells you what the website is supposed to do. Suppose you open amazon.com, right? So the interface tells you that you can buy a few products from here. How the products will be arranged for you, from where the products will be brought, you don't know that. Okay, the website, the welcome page is like an interface. Similarly, when you go to a market, you try to buy a book. Okay, you judge a book by its cover. Okay, most of us do that, right? By the index page or by the cover. What is the index page or what is the cover? What does it do for us? Right? It actually tells you what the book is all about. So that is like an interface to us. Similarly, in Java, you have interfaces. Okay? Right? Now, these interfaces, they describe what the application is supposed to do. All right. Now, I'll write over here public void start. Okay, right? Public void start. So one of the functions of the car is starting, right? Similarly, public void stop. So in interface, you don't have method bodies. You don't have method bodies in interface. You only have got the method declarations. All right, just by looking at the interface, you can tell what the interface is supposed to do. All right. Find what the application, sorry, what the car is supposed to do. Right. Now suppose I make a new class and I'll call it as Honda car. Okay. Now Honda car will have these two functions, start and stop. Okay. So technically what we do in Java is that we write over here Honda car implements car. That means Honda car will implement all the functions present inside the car interface. What is the use of that? Why do we do that? I'll come over to it later on in some time. Just be with me. Okay. So what I'll do is that I'll move the mouse over this error and add the unimplemented methods. If a class is implementing an interface, okay, if a class is implementing an interface, it is supposed to implement all the functions of the interface. It is mandatory. It is mandatory for it to implement all the functions of the interface. Hold on, why am I getting an error? Alright, fine. Yeah, so if a class is implementing an interface, it is mandatory for that class to implement all the functions of that interface. It cannot say that fine, I'll only implement the start one. Yeah, you will immediately get an error. It has to implement all the functions of the interface. Alright. Similarly, hold on, I'll write over here system.out.println Honda starting. Honda stopping. Right. Similarly, I'll create a new class known as say Suzuki car. Okay. Right. And this car is also supposed to implement the interface. This Suzuki car can also implement the car interface. It can implement the features of this interface. Okay, so you'll write over here Suzuki car implements the car interface. All right. Now since it is implementing the interface, okay, right, it will have to add, you'll have to add all the unimplemented functions. Fine. Just a minute. Right. Okay. Now what is the use of doing this? Inside it you can write that Suzuki car starting what did I do? Yeah, okay. Suzuki car stopping. Okay, right. I can do these two things. Right. Now, what is the advantage of doing this? I can simply make two classes, Honda car and Suzuki car. Okay, and I can keep them separately and I can make two functions in them. What is the use of the interface? Why did I make the interface car? Okay, right. You are understanding the logic, right? What is the use of making it? What I did was I made an interface, okay, and these two classes, Honda car and Suzuki car, were implementing both the functions present in the interface. What is the use of this? I could have simply not made the interface. I could have simply made these two classes. The advantage is that, firstly, if a layman looks at your interface, he will automatically come to know that these two functions are present in your interface. He will come to know that both the classes, that is the class Honda car and the class Suzuki car, both are implementing this interface. Both of them will have the same set of functions, start and stop. Right, without going through these two classes, he'll know that the function names would be the same. Although Honda would implement the function in its own way, the start function, and Suzuki car would implement the function in its own way. But the names of the functions would remain same. Okay, the names of the functions, they will remain the same. Now, moving ahead. Okay, moving ahead. If you look at the documentation of Selenium, if you look at the documentation of Selenium, if you go to seleniumhq.org, right, and if you go to the downloads, right, and if you go to the Java docs, all right, you will get the documentation. In the documentation, whatever is written in italics is an interface. For example, the word, hold on, mouse. Mouse is an interface. Okay, right? And all the implementing classes for this interface, these are event firing mouse, HTML unit mouse. Okay, as the name suggests, mouse interface can help you in moving the mouse. Alright, as the name suggests, it would help you in mouse movements. It's got basic functions like click, context click, right? Okay, so now, hold on. Now, in this, okay, in this documentation, you will find that there is an interface known as WebDriver. Okay, right? Everybody must have heard about the word WebDriver. Now, what is WebDriver? Right, technically, WebDriver is an interface. All right, technically, WebDriver is an interface. Right, okay, and if you look at, hold on, let me click on this. All the implementing classes, these are the classes, will come over to them, right? These are the methods in the WebDriver interface. Okay, right? If you look at the methods carefully, the first method is close. The description is closes the current window. All right. So these functions will be actually present in all the driver classes which implement the WebDriver functions. Sorry, WebDriver interface. All the driver classes, Chrome driver, event firing, Firefox, all the drivers which we studied yesterday, they are implementing the WebDriver interface. Guys, please don't unmute yourself. Okay. Right. Okay, there is a question being asked, what is the difference between an interface and a class? As I made an interface over here, an interface is not complete. It's only got the method names. It's only the declarations. All right. Okay. Now, similarly, similarly, out here we have the WebDriver interface having some common functions which can be fired on a browser. For example, a function like find element. It will find an element, a link, a button, or anything on the page. A function like get. It will take you to certain URL. Right. Get page source. Get title. Right. So, right. Now, Amanola is asking a question. If it is not complete, then why do... Look, Aman, the thing is, interface is not complete, but various classes can implement the interface and complete it. And each and every class can implement its own way. The function names will remain same. Honda car is implementing the interface. It is implementing the start and stop functions in its own way. Suzuki car is implementing in its own way. Similarly, in Selenium, right, WebDriver is an interface, and all the driver classes will be implementing these interface. All the driver classes would have the same set of functions. You don't have to worry that if you want to close Firefox, right, or if you have to close Chrome, what would be the function? The function would remain the same. Close. All right. Fine. Okay. Right. So, anybody with any questions? Right. So now moving ahead, I told you that all the driver classes will have same set of functions. Right. Okay. Right. So if you go to your Eclipse, fine. And inside Eclipse, if I copy paste yesterday's program into today's one, okay, I'll have to include, hold on, I'll have to include all the jar files. In every project, you need to include all the jar files. Just be with me. Okay. Right. Now, what I am going to do is that I'll just take the three drivers, Firefox, Chrome, and I. Right. Okay. Now, when you create the objects of these driver classes, right, majority of the functions in them would be the same. They would be coming up from the WebDriver interface. So if you have to visit a website from Firefox, you have to write driver1.get the URL http, the website name, whatever it is. Right. Don't forget to mention the protocol. Fine. Mentioning the protocol is very important. All right. Similarly, Chrome driver.get, the function name would remain the same. All right. Similarly, iDriver.get, the function name would remain the same. inside the implementation is such that this function will take Internet Explorer to that website, this one will Chrome, and this one will take Firefox. Right. Now, this is clear that every driver would have the same set of functions. Okay. Now, another question which comes into the mind is, how will I work with the browsers dynamically? Okay. What I mean to say is that, suppose I have a situation like this, which will be a situation in future as well, that I have a variable test browser equals to Mozilla. That means the browser on which we want to test and we want to we want to implement the test cases is Mozilla. Okay, right, fine. And generally this one will be read from an Excel file, or it will be read from an XML file or a properties file, whatever it is. We'll read the browser on which we want to test. Okay, we'll read the browser from an external source, and our code will run in such a way that it will open that particular browser and it will do the testing on it. As our mind says, we can keep an if condition, that if test browser is equal to Mozilla, then do this. Else if test browser is equal to Chrome, then do this. Else if test browser is equal to I, then do this. Okay, right. Now the problem which we face over here is that, will I write the complete code for Mozilla here, then repeat the codes for Chrome here, and repeat the same code for I here? Are you getting my point? Will I have to write the code separately for each browser? I have to open Mozilla, then go to some website, click on any link, automate the website. Are you understanding my point? Although the drivers are different, the functions are same. But will I be calling the same function again and again for different types of drivers? Okay. The answer to that is no. And the answer comes up from the concept of interfaces only. Okay. If I go to my car interface, this is my interface. Honda car and Suzuki car are implementing the interfaces. They both have same set of functions. Okay, let me make a new class known as test car. With the main function, right? Inside it, I'll create the object of Honda car. Okay, I can call the functions start, okay. When I run this, it will run and it will print Honda starting, Honda stopping, right? Similarly, I can create the object of Suzuki car s.start, s.stop. Okay. When you run this, it will print everything: Honda starting, Honda stopping, Suzuki car starting, Suzuki car stopping. Okay, right. This is okay. Now, in my Honda car, if I make a function like public void GPS, this is a feature which is only offered by Honda. This is a function which is not coming up from the car interface. Okay, this function is only offered, or this feature is only offered by Honda car. You got my point, right? Okay, right. So, right now, if I go over here, I can write h dot GPS. This function will not be available in Suzuki. Okay, right. Now listen to this carefully. Listen to this carefully. Whatever I'm going to teach you now, many people they get confused in this. It's very easy. I'll go back to the problem first. The problem was that I could not instantiate each and every driver I had to instantiate each and every driver separately, and I had to write the code for testing on each and every driver separately. We needed a solution for this. Okay. Now, we can create the objects of our own classes which we created, Honda car and Suzuki car. We can create the objects like these. There is one more way to create an object. Okay. We know car is an interface. Okay. First of all, we cannot write car C equals to new car. You cannot create the object of an interface. Remember this first. Why? Because interface is something which is incomplete. It makes no sense to create an object of an interface. Interface is something which is incomplete. Alright, but you can create an object reference. I can write like this. Listen to this carefully. Car C equals to new Honda car. Earlier we were writing Honda car reference equals to new class. These two things used to remain same, the name of the class. Out here I have changed it a little bit. The reference is of the interface and this is the car class. Okay, right? Fine. Now, what is the difference? What is the technical difference? The technical difference is that when you write this, with C, you can only call the functions which are coming from the interface and implemented in the class, not the functions which are owned by the class itself and not coming from the interface. You cannot call C.GPS over here because the GPS function is not coming from the interface car. When you create an object like this, you can only call the functions in this class which are coming from the interface. What is the use of this? I'll tell you in some time. Okay, I'll tell you in some time. Let me put a demarcation line. Similarly, you can write car C1 equals to new Suzuki car. C1 dot start, C1 dot stop. Right, when you run this, after this demarcation line, it prints simply Honda starting Honda. Output is same, but the way I have created the object and assigned the reference is different. What is the advantage of this line over this line? Although With this, you cannot access the function which is owned by the class. You can only access the function which is coming from the interface. What is the advantage? The advantage is that, now listen to this again carefully. If I write car X equals to new Suzuki car, so I can access the functions of Suzuki. I can write x.start. This will call the function of Suzuki. But later on, I can make X point towards new Honda car as well. And when I call x.start again, this will call the start from Honda. So I can make X point dynamically towards either Suzuki or Honda based on my choice. Did you get my point? If I run this, say it will print Suzuki car starting, Honda starting. So based on my decision, I can make X point towards anything. Okay, I'll again repeat. First of all, we created normal objects. Hello? Yeah. First of all, we created normal objects of Honda car and Suzuki car. Okay. Right. With these, you can access all the functions inside these classes, whether the function was coming from the interface or was local to this class. You can access all the functions. All right. Then after that, what I did was I created the object in a different way. I took the reference of the interface and the object of the class. This is the object. The reference C is of the car interface. When I write this, I can only access the functions which are there in this class. Okay, which are there in this class coming from this interface. That means I can only access start and stop. I cannot access the GPS function. Okay, right. Now, what is the use of this thing? The use of this thing is that you can make the reference point towards a Suzuki car first, use it, and then make it point towards another object, Honda car. Both the cars, Honda car and Suzuki car, are implementing the car interface. Did you get my point now? Right. Okay. The practicality of this is that I'll go back to Selenium basics. I'll comment this part. Commenting multiple lines can be done like this, /* and */. In between all the lines would be commented, they will not execute. Okay. Now, we know that WebDriver is an interface and Firefox driver is the class implementing the interface. Right. We create the object of, say, Firefox driver like this. We create the object of Chrome driver like this. Now, instead of this, we can also create the objects like this. That is, WebDriver D equals to new Firefox driver. Right? Or WebDriver X equals to new Chrome driver. I'm sorry. We can do this, right? Okay, that WebDriver D equals to new Firefox driver, WebDriver X equals to new Chrome driver. Fine. And you can actually, what you can do is you can make D point towards new Chrome driver on the next line also. We initiate to Firefox driver, you make it point towards Chrome driver. What I mean to say is that I'll uncomment this. We'll declare WebDriver, say driver equals to null in the beginning. Based on that means this reference is not pointing towards anything. The interface reference is not pointing towards anything. Based on our requirement, we can make driver point towards any one, that is Mozilla, Chrome or IE, based on our requirement. And then after the browser has been initialized, you fire the function driver.get, because the functions would remain same. All the driver classes have the same functions, right? You go to the website http://dvc.com, and since the functions are same, you can fire driver.get title. So whatever browser I mention over here, that browser will open from this logic. The driver would get initialized to that browser, and then we can start the testing process. Are you able to understand this logic?
Yeah.
Right. Fine. So we can dynamically open the browser. Later on, we'll put the browser name in some Excel file or XML file, whatever it is. Right. So when you run this, it will open the browser. It will take you to BVC. Okay, and that's it. Right now selected Mozilla, so it's open Mozilla. Fine. Okay. Now moving ahead. One more thing which, pardon, somebody is asking a question. Okay. One more thing which I wanted to discuss was that again and again I have to go into the documentation of Selenium. I have to open the Selenium website and I have to go to the documentation. Right. Look, the thing is, you can import the documentation inside Eclipse. There is no need to go in Selenium website for the documentation. Okay. Right. Hold on, I'll tell you how. This is the Java doc link, right? You click on this Java doc link and you will be taken to this URL. Okay. Copy the URL. Go to Eclipse. Right click on Eclipse or right click on your project. Okay. Go to the properties. Fine. And you will have Java build path. Inside it, you will have the main jar file, Selenium Java 2.x.jar. Okay, this is the main jar file. You expand this and you will have an option Java doc location. Edit this and paste the URL. Remove index.html from the end. Please note, you need to remove index.html from the end and click on OK. Okay, that's it. Now the documentation would be imported inside Eclipse. Right. If I move my mouse over WebDriver, you will see the documentation of WebDriver coming up. It's the main interface to use for testing. Okay. If I write a driver dot, you will get all the functions available in WebDriver. If you click on any function, You will get the description of that function, what that function is supposed to do. This is very important. Okay, right. Fine. You move your mouse over Firefox driver. You have written Firefox driver over here, right? You move your mouse over it, you will get the description, Chrome driver, everything you will get. Okay, right. In the description, hold on. In the description, if you see any link, if you click on that link, hold on. If you click on that link, the documentation will open inside Eclipse only. You have to select the frames view, this one, the frames view, and the documentation will open up in a frame. Okay, so same thing will open here. So all you need to do is that you need to copy this URL, and I have recorded this session. If you are not able to understand, you can look at the recording as well. I'll give you the recording for sure. There was some delay in uploading yesterday's recording. Okay, you go to the project properties and you need to go to the jar file. I'm repeating again. The main Selenium jar. Go to the Java doc location, edit it, and paste the URL here. Remove index.html. Okay. All right. Now, this was a small thing about importing the documentation, which is again important. Now, moving ahead, we have seen how to open a browser dynamically, right? We have seen that we can go to a website. Now, after going to a website, we need to identify elements. We need to interact with them. We need to click on elements, right? We need to do a lot of things. Okay. For that, we need to understand how Selenium actually works. Selenium works on the concept of page source. Actually, it works completely on the page source. Every website has its own page source. Okay. What do you mean by page source? Just a minute. Hold on. Let me go to the website bbc.com. Or hold on, let me go to this website only, seleniumsq.org. If I look at the page source, right click on the page, you will have the option view page source. Okay. If I look at this, this is the page source. This is the HTML source code of the page. Okay. This is something which is returned by the server when you send a request to the server, and Selenium actually works on this page source. HTML language, if you know it, it's good. If you don't know it, alright, if you don't know it, you can actually have a brief tutorial on any website like W3 Schools. Just study HTML for 1 hour, it's very easy. Still, if you don't know it, don't worry, I'll talk about it and I'll tell you. Right. This is the HTML language. It helps you to render the page. Right. In HTML, there is nothing, but there are tags and attributes. For example, this H3 is a tag. Okay, it opens here, closes over here. This A anchor tag, whatever starts with a conical bracket, the maroonish red, it is a tag. Right. A tag can be a standalone tag. For example, this T body tag is a standalone tag. Or it can have attributes. For example, this is an A anchor tag, A, which is having this attribute. Name is third party drivers. Okay, so a tag can be a standalone tag, or it can have one or more than one attributes. Right. For example, I'll again tell you, just a minute. Yeah, this is a div tag which is having the attribute class as plugin. Okay, right. So in HTML, this is the case. You can have a tag and you can have one or multiple. There can be multiple attributes as well. Right. For example, you go to the web page, say w3schools.com. This is a very good website again to learn HTML. Okay, you can learn HTML from this website. It's very easy. You go to this website w3schools.com. Okay, if you look at the page source, okay, if you after going to this website, if you look at the page source, you will have this page source. Hold on. Right. So you see this span tag. This span tag has got two attributes, class and ID. Okay, so you can have multiple attributes with a particular tag name, and with the help of combinations of these, you can say the tag names and the attributes, we actually identify the elements on the page. Okay, right. Now before I move further, right, what is an element on the page? In Selenium, everything falls under the category of web element. If you have studied UFT or QTP, look, don't confuse it with a web element over there. Alright. In Selenium, everything is a web element. A button is a web element. Technically, that's a generic name. A button is a web element. Uh, you can say a text box is a web element. A link falls under the category of web element. Okay. Then um, all the things like a radio button, text, right? Everything is a web element. Okay. So you need to identify the web elements, right? If you go to the Selenium documentation, I had opened the documentation. Hold on. Just a minute. Yeah. In Selenium, there is an interface known as web element. It represents an HTML element, any generic element on the page. Okay. This web element interface symbolizes that element. Alright. This interface has got some functions which can be fired on a web element. For example, clear the value of a text field, click on an element, get the text is displayed. So there are various functions. We will be talking about that, right? But how do you extract the web elements, or how do you extract the components which are present on the page? To extract them, again, you will have to understand this page source, right? You have to go to page source and you need to investigate it again and again. Now, this will be a very common thing. The most common thing would be, which will be required from you, would be to go to the page source and investigate it when you're working with Selenium. Look, we don't investigate the page source like this. We use tools, right? For example, if you want to investigate it inside Mozilla, right, then we install a tool known as Firebug. Alright, let me download and install it. You will come to know. Most of you must be knowing it. Firebug. Just search for Firebug Firefox on Google. Okay. The first link, go on the first link. Hold on. Let it open. Please make sure you open this website in Firefox. Okay. Right. And click on Add to Firefox. Okay. And click on Install now. Okay. And click on the Restart Now icon and Firefox will open up. Hold on. Yeah, it's open. Now when Firefox opens up, you will see a small icon over here. Right. A Firebug icon. Okay. Right. You can actually click on it. When you click on it, a window like this will open up. This is the Firebug window. Just a minute. Let me increase the text size. Right. Now when you investigate the page source, just a minute. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. It's not coming up. Okay, it's not coming up. Hold on. I think there is some issue with the latest version of Firefox. Okay, let me do one thing. Right. Yeah, this problem, it comes up with Selenium at times. I've seen it many times. Right now, I am working on the latest version of Selenium. No, not on the latest. It's 27. Okay. Fine. It's 27 version, and I have installed the latest version of Firebug, which is actually causing the issue. Let me get an older version of Firefox. This versioning thing, it's very important. Okay, so just a minute. Just 1 minute. You go to this page and search for a version which is for your Firefox. You see that this one gets enabled. After this one, you install this one. Hold on. Versioning matters a lot in Firebug. Okay, fine. Yeah, now it's okay. If you look at this arrow sign out here, this small arrow, okay, if you click on it and wherever you move your page, wherever you move your mouse, it will show you the HTML code of that particular area. Okay, how will we know which version of Firebug is required for a particular Firefox? Look, the thing is that, you know, when you go to the Firebug website, when you go to the official website of Firebug, hold on. That's what I did right now. Okay. When you search it on Google and Go to the website. First of all, never use the latest version of Firefox. It might be a chance that many things might not work. These are the older versions mentioned over here. For example, if for 13.0 use this Firebug 1.9, when you actually go on that page itself tells you whether it is compatible or not. See, add to Firefox button is not getting enabled in front of these versions. It is only getting enabled in front of the last version, which is for my Firefox. So you can search it in this way. Okay, right. Now you can investigate the page source from Firebug. Now what about Chrome? Okay, what about Chrome? You know, everything is inbuilt, right? You suppose this is the Google web page. Okay, I have to investigate this web page. It is inbuilt. For example, this is the text field, right? If I right click over here, in Chrome, already Chrome inspector is there. You can use inspect element option and the page source will come up. It will be highlighted for that particular element. Okay, for this element, it's an input tag. All right, fine. And you know, similarly in I as well, you have got I inspector. It comes up with F12 of the keyboard when you hit F12, but we don't use it that much. Okay, understand the point that you can investigate the page on one browser and utilize it on the other browser as well. I'll come over to the point. You'll not be able to understand it right now. Okay, right. Now, this is how you investigate the page source. All right. Now, the next thing is that